What is going on in 2026 Texas offensive line recruiting? What is happening with some dominoes coming off the board over the course of the last 24 hours since the last time we've been with you guys? Cody, you came in, you said this is what we need to talk about. So how do you want to steer the conversation?
Man, I think I just came away last night after we saw the commitments come through, and this morning there was a couple of commitments that came through. Zayden Krempin to Texas A&M. It's kind of thought LSU A&M was really heavy in that conversation. We saw Aaron Thomas from Phoenix, Arizona go to Ohio State. Thought that might have been an A&M situation. Obviously, Sam Roseborough's at A&M, and then Drew Evers this morning, who Texas really wasn't pushing after, but he did have an offer from Flower Mound, a four-star guard, interior offensive lineman, go to SMU. That's the second interior offensive lineman from the state, Toa Katoa, who also had some Texas interest from Euless, Texas, signed with SMU about a month and a half ago. And I guess what I came away with the thought here was, Alex, is, and I'm not going to blow a whistle. I'm not trying to freak people out. I'm not trying to say I'm freaked out. I just have a question. Is like, what's the move? What's going to happen on the offensive line in this class with Texas? Because we've been talking for a year, 2 years about the offensive line class and the potential of having an Ojo, Krempin, Turntine, Roseborough, Max Wright, a bunch of dudes in this class together. And now I'm sitting here on June 26th, and I see that the 6 interior offensive linemen that have been offered by Texas, 5 of them have been signed, 3 in-state guys, SMU, Oklahoma, like I talked about, with Noah Best being the other guy. Brock Colajay from Bradenton, IMG, Florida, is the one undecided interior offensive lineman. And then you have the tackles, right? The top 2 tackles in the state, John Turntine from Crowley, and then you have Felix Ojo. Right? That's kind of the overview of all of this. A lot of signings lately. My question, Alex, and what I'm wondering is, when you look at the interior offensive line of Texas right now, right, we can expect DJ Campbell, Cole Hudson to be gone after this year. And we've never seen NATO in a starting role full-time. Connor Robertson is there. He's technically a redshirt junior right now. Connor Stroh's a redshirt sophomore. Nate Kibble's a redshirt freshman. And then and Daniel Cruz. And then you have the Jackson Christian, Devin Coleman, Jordan Coleman situation of all freshmen. The interior and the interior of the offensive line.
You also have Jaden Chapman who plays
I got him listed at tackle on my depth chart, so good catch on that. But yes, you also have Jaden Chapman. So I guess what my question is a year from now, could we be looking at this offensive line situation similar to how we've looked at receiver, similar to how we've looked at defensive tackle these last couple of years, where that ends up being the position that they hit in the portal because it's just like you kind of just need numbers for the interior offensive line?
I hope not.
I'm wondering, and I'm not trying to blow a whistle. I love Kyle Flood. I trust the process, all those things. But when I see name after name after name in state pop off the board, it makes me just have question because so if I look over at the LSR top 100, this is Catches 2026 top 100 in the state of Texas. Noah Best is number 37th overall. He's the number 1 interior offensive lineman committed to Oklahoma. Drew Evers, 38th overall, number 2, SMU, committed there today. After that, it drops down to Nick Robertson, Klein, Texas, committed to Texas, 59th overall. Sean Stover, Duke, 62nd, so on and so forth, 66, 68. They're all committed except for Pooley Primus from Midland, who is a Texas Tech lean. He didn't take any visits to Texas this spring. I just have a question, Alex.
Does he have a Texas offer?
Primus does, yes. But he's had officials at TCU, Vandy, Arizona State, USC, Houston, Utah as well, and then Washington. So he's kind of been not really on the Texas radar. The last connection he had with Texas, I think, dates back to the season. Unofficial visit last October.
They got to get Turntine and Ojo.
So that means you have a 4-man class then at that point. So you have Ojo, Turntine, you have Max Wright, and you have Nick Robertson. Are you good with a 4-man class?
It just depends on all right. Well, Ojo's going to play tackle, right? And yep. I think Turntine.
Max Wright can't play guard. He's a 6'8".
Yeah. Well, right.
He might get taller.
Right. Nick Robertson, we know, plays inside. Yep. And then you have, so next year coming back, you would have presumably Nato Yamusalo, Chapman, Connor Stroh, Kibble. Kibble is a guy who people have talked a lot about behind the scenes at least through spring ball, who they had said looked good. We haven't seen hide nor hair of the Coleman twins yet. Those are two of the guys, along with Nick Townsend, the tight end, who are joining with this 2025 class here in the summer. So haven't seen them, but certainly with the Coleman twins, they were the epitome of what you would consider developmental interior prospects, along the same lines of, it's like Connor Stroh or these kinds of guys, right? Connor Stroh, speaking of him, I mean, he's also involved here. We always known that he's a little bit of a slow bake, very, very heavy footed, a giant of a man, right? Just a lot of mass. One of the, he came in the class of the large humans, where that was like the featured billing, was just like these guys. The fact was, when in that class, a lot of them kind of didn't have that good of huddle reels. They didn't have anything, but they were all massive. And so we're going to see how it goes out of that class. It turns out that, the one that was am I getting them mixed up? It seems like that was the same class as Gooseby, right?
2 years ago.
Yeah. The one that, yeah. So it would have been 2023, the class of 2023, because Baker was 2024. Yep. Yeah. So 2023 was Gooseby, and kind of funny that he was not considered one of these kind of large humans and stuff. And he turns out to be the best out of all of them. Guys like Peyton Kirkland are, now out of the program. Connor Stroh hasn't done much. Andre Kojo is probably the second farthest along there out of that group. Jaden Chapman was injured to end spring practice. We still don't have any details about that. I was told that it was a relatively serious deal, where they were hoping he could be back for fall camp. So yeah, I mean, I understand that's a short-term concern, but I understand your concern on the interior of the offensive line if there is long-term stuff. I think that the good news is that in the transfer portal, it feels to me at least like, and I don't have data to back this up, but we do this every day and we analyze this all the time. It feels to me like your bona fide stud tackles are the players you're not going to go to the transfer portal to find, whereas the centers, the guards, you can find some grad transfer guard out of Purdue or so,
Yeah, the Pat Coogan situation from Notre Dame last year, like they were sniffing around Emmanuel Pregnon, things like that. You can at least sniff around for a guy.
Right. Yeah. And if you're sniffing around for a place to get LASIK, remember that the show is sponsored by Man Eye Institute. 1-844-WOW-2020, 1-844-WOW-2020. Don't get your grandpa's LASIK. Go get, the Man Eye Institute is one of two places in all of America that has the new cutting edge technology that you need, that you can trust with your own eyeballs, your own sight. Man Eye Institute, 1-844-WOW-2020. Okay. Yeah. I think what it comes down to, Cody, is that if you get Turntine, you tell him, it's still up in the air, John. I'm not sure if it's going to be tackle or guard. We know you have the versatility. We'd like to move you around. You've seen in the past that we've had guys where, look at what we're doing with Trey Moore on defense, what we did with Jahdae Barron on defense. The NFL values versatility. So whether it's guard, whether it's I think you can kind of give him that pitch. But
the fact that you have to play 5-tool, so.
Yeah. And dude, here's the fact of the matter too, is that Turntine, Turntine's really good. Maybe he could play tackle, but I think he's really good. It's funny, man. We were talking last night. I'm like, man, the reason I like the reason I kind of started ranking Felix Ojo higher than John Turntine was just the clips I'd seen from him at these camps and how good he looks at these camps. If you watch their film, Turntine has the better film. I mean, he's still Turntine's still he's an awesome prospect. If you get him, you get the upside of Felix Ojo. We talked about how Ojo might not be ready for year one starting, but he might not need to start year one, especially as with Cody said before, there's a chance that Trevor Gooseby could be thinking he might come back for another season if he's not a top 10 pick.
In Kyle Flood, we trust. I think that's the bottom line here, is if Flood's not pushing to reach for guys, we shouldn't be pushing to worry about them not pushing to reach for guys. If they make a 4-man class, I think it tells us a lot more about that group, like you talked about, that 2023 and that 2024 recruiting class, than maybe what we know on the outside. And that's kind of the bottom line when you don't get to go to all the practices in the spring.